With Jedi Fallen Order having just released and all this buzz around the game and everyone saying it's the best single-player Star Wars game of all time, I decided it was time for me to rank my top 5 favorite Star Wars games of all time. Now, this is my personal ranking. This is not going off the community or anything like that. This is all my personal opinion. If you have your own top 5 Star Wars games, I want to hear it in the comments below. There's obviously a lot more than 5 Star Wars games, but I figured it'd be best to narrow it down to just the top 5. But again, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What are your favorite 5 Star Wars games? Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, racing games are not my forte, really, but I grew up playing a ton of Star Wars games, and one of those games was Pod Racer, and this game was awesome. It took one of the best and only good aspects from The Phantom Menace and turned it into an entire video game, and it was awesome. The Phantom Menace itself wasn't that great of a movie, but the Pod Racer scene was universally praised. It was shot so well, it was so cool, and now you get to live that scene over so many different maps, and you get to choose your different Pod Racer. It's so cool. There's different stats, there's different way to upgrade. You can level up and unlock different Pod Racers. It's so much fun. I love the level design of the different racetracks and all the different things you can do. There's shortcuts, and even today, it still holds up. I believe a year or two ago, it was re-released on GOG on PC, so you can play it again without having to get a physical copy. I love this game. I will say, going back and playing it, it still holds up. One thing that I did when I was little, and I still do now, is I played it with a joystick, so it makes it feel more like you're actually controlling a pod racer, and I say that adds a lot to the game, because when I was playing it with mouse and keyboard, it made it a lot easier than I remember, but still, that Cloud City level is so hard to make it up onto that upper track, but this game is just so much fun, and still my favorite racing game to date. Star Wars Battlefront II was the first multiplayer game that I ever played online. Before that, I always played with bots in games or played local co-op with my friends or something like that, but I never played online until I got Battlefront II, and I hopped on, and I had no idea what GameSpy was, and I just went and found a server and had a blast. This game, I'm not sure if there's another game that I have more playtime on than this. I used to have the disc, so I have no clue how many hours I have on this game, but I played it so much. It literally was every Star Wars fan's dream. You can do everything you ever want to do. You want to go hunt wampas? Go ahead and do that. You want to go ahead and have an amazing, awesome battle on Commando and hop around those different cool platforms as Obi-Wan? You can do that. There's just, the possibilities are basically endless in this game in terms of multiplayer. It's so much fun. It's every Star Wars fan's dream. Now, the single player was a little lackluster. The story itself was interesting, and I love the journals of the 501st. That was so cool, and actually having Tameo Morrison do the voice over for that was awesome. But the missions themselves were very lackluster, and it was kind of just, oh, here's an objective on a multiplayer map, and that was it. There wasn't much to it. I will say there was one mission that stood out, and that was the Order 66 mission, where you had to stop the different Jedis from destroying the archives. That was fun, and I remember when I was a little kid, that was a pain for me. It took me so many tries to do that, and then once you get past that, you can get Anakin and go around the Jedi Temple and slaughter Jedi. So much fun, but the multiplayer was really where it was at, and instant action. There was so much content, so many different planets. It was everything you wanted from a multiplayer Star Wars game, and then some. Just, man, it was amazing, and I have so many fond memories of that game, and going back and playing it, it still does hold up. It's still fun. I would love a remaster of this game. Obviously, it lacked some balance. This was back in the day when balance was definitely not on the mind of every multiplayer game developer, but still, so much fun. The heroes were great. The planets with all the different maps were fun. It was just such a great game, and I think everyone has fond memories of it, and if you go back and play, if you go and get it on Steam or something, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's still a fun, great game. Jedi Fallen Order is the Star Wars game that people have been clamoring for years. We had so many great Star Wars games back in the day, and we've always wondered what it would be like to have a great modern Star Wars game, and we finally get that with Fallen Order. It's so good, it's so polished. The combat is very satisfying and it's very skill based, and it's amazing. All the different enemy types, the level design, the verticality to the different maps, the levels themselves look so beautiful. The characters, the story is very interesting. It amps up so much in the end. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it, but oh my gosh, this game lives up to the hype. It is amazing. The combat is so much fun and so satisfying to go ahead and take apart a group of stormtroopers. Oh, it feels amazing. And the levels themselves, the verticality to these levels, climbing up and going all over the place, and then the progression of unlocking your different force abilities and lightsaber attacks, the skill tree is done so well. I love this game. It is an instant classic for Star Wars fans. Who knows, maybe years from now it could make its way up to the #1 spot, but for right now, after beating the game and then exploring the planets a little after that, it is definitely a solid game and my number 3 on this list for a reason. All these years later, in Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is still the definitive Jedi experience. You start out as a Padawan that can barely jump 2 feet in the air and has trouble fighting lizards, but by the end of the game you'll be fighting multiple Sith cultists at the same time, using all of your different force abilities like lightning and force speed to defeat them. The story starts out with you on your way to Luke's Jedi Academy to get trained in the way of the Jedi. You get there and discover a Sith cult stealing the Force energy from the temple. You later discover that they are doing this in hopes to use all this Force energy to resurrect an ancient Sith named Ragnos. Throughout this story, you get to go on so many different missions to all these awesome planets, and no 2 missions are alike. One mission, you're going to Coruscant fighting bounty hunters. The next, you're on a speeder investigating the Sith cult. And after that, who knows? Maybe you're stuck on a ship with a giant raincore and Sith cultists all trying to kill you. The variety among these levels is amazing, and you also get to choose what missions you go on, which adds to the replayability of the game. The lightsaber combat in this game is awesome. You or your enemy can be one-shot at any time. This means you have to be very precise with your timing and use your force abilities. Speaking of force abilities, the skill tree in this game is so great. You can delve into the dark side and unlock force lightning and force choke, and you're constantly getting stronger from mission to mission. You can upgrade your lightsaber and choose to stick with single blade or go to a double or rock 2 lightsabers. There are actual choices in this game as well. They have consequences. At the end, you can choose to be a good guy and fight alongside your fellow Jedi to take down the Sith cultists, or you can choose the dark side and take everything for yourself. Yes, you can choose the dark side. If you do, by the end, you end up fighting both the Sith cultists and the Jedi in just an absolute free-for-all where everyone's trying to kill each other, and at the very end of the game, you end up fighting Kyle Katarn. It's so awesome. Jedi Academy is still the premier Jedi experience, in my opinion. After all these years, it still is, and if you have not played it, don't mind the graphics. It's still a great game. The mechanics still work really well. The mission variety is awesome. You can fight Boba Fett even in a mission. It's insane how good this game is. When most people think of Star Wars, they think of lightsabers and the Force and Jedi vs. Sith. Well, my #1 favorite Star Wars game, Republic Commando, has none of that. But Republic Commando covers the dark, gritty military aspect of the Clone Wars instead. Here, you play as a group of Republic Commandos known as Delta Squad. These guys are the special forces of the Clone Army. The game starts off on a Commando showing your training and what you were made for. From there, you and your squad go and assassinate a Geonosian leader known as Sunfac. Then after that, your squad splits up inside a droid factory. Then you regroup and blow it up. Then after that, a missing Republic assault ship appears and Delta Squad is sent to investigate. You see dead clone troopers everywhere and you quickly realize this is the handiwork of Trandoshans. After clearing the ship of those dumb lizards, you are sent to Kashyyyk to help the Wookiees deal with more Trandoshans who are trying to start a slave trade. Throughout the game, it is critical that you use your squad. You can have them take up sniping positions, form up, or go behind cover and start chucking nades. For a game that came out in 2005, the squad mechanics and AI are really good. Everything works how it should and the AI is pretty competent. It feels like the rest of your squad are actual elite commandos. They all have their own unique voices and personalities too. Sev is the stone cold killer of the group.
Sir, you're interrupting my killing spree.
Scorch is the one always cracking jokes.
Shall we save some shooting for you, sir?
And Fixers is the by-the-book type of soldier.
Quality shooting, Delta 3-8.
And then there's your character, Delta 3-8, or as everyone else knows him, Boss. He's the one responsible for making sure everything that the Republic needs to get done gets done. There's so much variety in the gameplay, from the different enemies to all the ways you can take out your enemies. Want to stab a Geonosian and see his guts explode onto you and then have your fancy visor wipe it off for you? You can do that. Want to shoot a super battle droid's arm off? You can do that. Don't feel like dealing with a droidus so you want to let your squad do it for you? Yeah, you can do that too. The gameplay feels a bit like a heavier Halo, and I love it. It's so much fun. The story is so interesting. The characters are great. You really grow to love your squad mates like the brothers that they are, and by the end of it, you'll be sad by the fact that we did not get a sequel. This is a must-play for any Star Wars fan. It is still my favorite Star Wars game of all time, and also my favorite video game of all time. I love Republic Commando. I replay it at least once a year, and it holds up every single time. Every single time I play it, it just reaffirms that it's still my favorite game, and it is just amazing. The level design, the core gameplay, the different enemy variations, the story itself, the characters, just everything about this game I love. But anyways, those are my top 5 favorite Star Wars games of all time. Please let me know in the comments below what are your guys' top 5 favorite Star Wars games. I really want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.